Hello, today we shall discuss the measurement of mass. Okay, the mass is a basic property of matter and it does not depend on the temperature, pressure, or location of the object in the space. SI unit, it is kilogram. Okay, now while dealing with the atoms and molecules, the kilogram is an inconvenient unit. Okay, it's a large unit. If you are talking about the mass of atoms and molecules, then it is a very small mass. So another unit is defined. Okay, in this case there is an important standard unit of mass which is known as unified atomic mass. Its name is unified atomic mass. Sometimes in chemistry it is taken as AMU. Okay, here we shall only write U. U stands for atomic mass unit or unified atomic mass unit. Okay, it is defined as one atomic or one unit unified atomic mass. One unified atomic mass, that is written as 1U, is defined as 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon 12. Okay, 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon 12 isotope. It is written as 6C12. So you have a carbon atom. There are 6 protons and 6 neutrons in it. And if you take the 1/12 of the mass of an atom of carbon 12 isotope, including the mass of electrons, then that mass is considered to be the one unified atomic mass unit, and its value is 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 27 kg. So we understand this way that one atomic mass unit or one unified atomic mass unit is 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg. Okay, if this much mass is there, 1.66 into 10 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg mass is there, then we can say it's a one unified atomic mass unit. Okay, now mass of commonly available objects can be determined by a common balance. Okay, that we have seen. Mass of celestial objects, large mass in the universe, that is determined by using the Newton's law of gravitation. Okay, Newton's law of gravitation is used to determine the large masses which are there in the universe, that of the sun, that of the different planets and its different bodies, okay, in the universe. For measurement of the small masses of atomic and subatomic particles, we use the mass spectrography, okay, that we will study in future. Okay, now range of mass, the mass which we are determining in physics, they are of the range of 10 to the power minus 30 kg to 10 to the power 55 kg. Okay, so the mass is as small as 10 to the power minus 30 kg to 10 to the power 55 kg are measured and used in physics. Okay, the table is given, that of the range of length, okay, up to which size we are measuring the length in physics, that is narrated in this table. That is only for the information, that is not as such utilized in asking questions in the examination. Okay, this is the range of mass. Electron mass is of the order of 10 to the power minus 30 kg. Okay, and observable universe is having the mass of 10 to the power 55 kg. Okay, measurement of time. To measure any time interval, we need a clock. Okay, that we know very well. Okay, We now use the atomic standard of time, which is based on the periodic vibrations produced in the cesium atoms. This is the basis of cesium clock. So cesium clock is used in measuring the standard time, okay, which is utilizing, okay, the periodic vibrations which are produced in the cesium atom. That is, for the best accuracy this clock is used. Okay, it is sometimes also known as atomic clock, okay, which is used in the national standards. Okay, just for the information you can read all these things. Okay, now we talk about the accuracy, precision of instruments and errors in measurement. Measurement is a foundation of all experimental science and technology. Wherever you have an experiment, okay, you are measuring something in the experiment. If you want to go for any research, there also you are measuring some of the things whenever you are going for it. The result of every measurement by any measuring instrument contains some uncertainty. This uncertainty is called error. Okay, whenever you are taking the measurement, there is a certain amount of an uncertainty. An uncertainty in this measurement is nothing but error. Every calculated quantity which is based on measured values also has an error. Okay, if you have some calculated value, then also calculated quantity, then also it has some error. We shall distinguish between two terms, accuracy and precision. The accuracy of measurement is a measure of how close the measured value is to the true value of the quantity. Okay, so accuracy is nothing but how close you are to a particular true value. Okay, precision tells us to what resolution or limit the quantity is measured. Okay, so precision is nothing but it is the resolution or a limit up to which a quantity is measured. Okay, the accuracy in measurement may depend on several factors, including the limit or the resolution of the measuring instrument. If there is a particular instrument which is having certain amount of resolution, means the divisions on that instrument are properly seen by you, or there is a gap between them, okay, then its resolution is good, or we can say we can observe the quantity properly or the measurement properly. For example, suppose the true value of certain length is near 3.678 centimeter. In one experiment using measuring instrument of resolution 0.1 centimeter, the measured value is found to be 3.5 centimeter, while in another experiment using a measuring device of greater resolution up to say 0.01, you can say some instruments, say for example you have this centimeter scale, here 0 is written, okay, then 1 2 3 4. So here if it is 1, okay, you can see that this scale is divided into 10 segments. Okay, so 1 divided by 10, so value of 1 division is 0.1 centimeter. You can take the reading up to the accuracy of 0.1 centimeter. Now if this is divided in 100 parts, means there are 100 divisions, okay, then you can use this instrument and you can say that a particular measurement is around, or you can determine it say 3.38 sometimes. By using that kind of device, you can determine the length and say you are saying it 3.38. Okay, the first measurement has more accuracy because it is closer to the true value but less precision. Its resolution is only 0.1 centimeter, while the second measurement is less accurate but more precise. Okay, thus every measurement is approximate due to errors in the measurement. In general, errors in measurement can be broadly classified as systematic error and random error. Okay, systematic error છે એમાં instrumental error, okay, that arise from the errors due to imperfect design or calibration of measuring instrument. Okay, zero error in the instrument, etc. Okay, so these are some instrumental error because of the instrument. Okay, the calibration is not proper or it is not designed properly. For example, the temperature graduations of the thermometer may be inadequately calibrated. It may read 104 degrees Celsius at a boiling point, means the calibration is not proper. Here there must be 100 written. When the thermometer is in the boiling water, then the mercury column should show 100, but if it is showing 104 instead of 100, here it should be 100 written at this point, but if it is showing say 104, means the divisions are not properly spaced or they are not properly calibrated, we can say. So that kind of instrument is having the instrumental error. Then imperfection in experimental technique or procedure. Whenever you are viewing any apparatus, okay, or whenever you are measuring the things with the help of any instrument, then the measuring device must be placed properly. If it is not properly placed, then it will not give you the correct measurement. Okay. Then comes personal error that arise due to an individual bias, lack of proper setting of apparatus, or individual's carelessness. Okay, that depends upon the person's accuracy or person's diligence. Okay, if he is not properly taking the readings, then the error may arise. Okay, random error is the error which comes or which occurs irregularly. It does not have any rule. Okay, it comes anytime. Okay, so it has no direction as such, it can occur at any time. Okay, then there is a least count error, the smallest value. First of all, what is least count? It is the smallest value that can be measured by the measuring instrument, that is called least count. Say for example, when I drew that particular, say here 0 is there, then if this is the way the centimeter scale is divided, say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, then this can have a least measurement with accuracy is 0.1. okay, because 1 is divided into 10 different parts. So least count of this apparatus can be 0.1. So up to accuracy or smallest value that can be measured with the help of this kind of scale, okay, can be up to 0.1 centimeter. That is called least count. Okay, all the readings or measured value are good only up to this particular least count value. The least count error is the error associated with the resolution of the instrument. For example, vernier calipers that you may study whenever the experiments will begin. has the least count of 0.01 centimeter, a spherometer is having least count 0.001 centimeter. Least count error belongs to the category of random errors, but within a particular limited size. It occurs with both the systematic and random errors. If we use a meter scale for measurement of the length, it may have yes, it occurs with the both systematic and random error. If we use a meter scale for measurement of length, it may have graduations or at 1 millimeter division scale spacing or interval that can be discussed whenever the experiments are beginning or may begin. Okay. Now, absolute error, relative error and percentage error, that is a part which is a calculative part. Now the method of calculation I will explain today. It's very easy. You must have calculator, okay, whenever you are going for the calculation. Right now only the study of method, how to carry out this calculation. Say for example you are having certain readings. You have some readings, okay. Say you have A1, A2, A3 up to AN readings. Okay, you have measured the length say n times, say 5 times. Okay, then 5 times you are measuring the length with the help of certain device, say vernier calipers or micrometer screw, whatever it may be. Then you will have 5 readings of length. Okay, then you are finding the mean you find, or you have found already average, that is only the addition of all the readings divided by number of observations. That is called a mean. Okay, it can also be written as this way. Okay, a mean is number of observations are added sigma ai upon n, I is equal to 1 to n. So you have one value a mean, that is your average value. Okay, now you are taking the difference of each and every quantity from this mean value. Okay, the magnitude of all of the difference between the true value of the quantity and the individual measurement value is called absolute error of the measurement. What you are doing, you have a mean. Okay, you have calculated a mean. Now each and every reading you are subtracting from this. The first reading you are subtracting a1, so you are having delta a1. Then second reading you are subtracting from a mean, then you will have delta a2 and so on. So if you have n readings, then you are having n subtractions like this. All the individual values you are subtracting from the mean value, and then you are taking the magnitude of all these subtractions. Okay, if you are getting the negative answer, then you are taking it positive. Okay, you are taking the magnitude of all these subtractions, so you can take this way also. Okay, whichever answer you get, you have to make it positive, means you are taking the magnitude of all the subtractions. Okay, then you add all these subtractions which you have done. Okay, so delta a1, delta a2, all you have to add and divided by the number of observations. Okay, so this is the value which you are getting, that is called the mean absolute error. How to find mean absolute error? First you have to take the subtraction of each and every observations from the mean. Okay, and you have to take the magnitude of each and every subtraction. Then you add all those subtractions which you have carried out, all those answers. Okay, and then you have to divide it by the number of observation. So this process results in mean absolute error, which is written as this way also, delta a mean. delta A mean is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n delta AI upon n. Then you are showing the observation this way. Mean observation that you got first. First of all, what did you get? You got the mean value, A mean, plus or minus delta A mean. Okay. A mean plus or minus delta A mean. So we can say that A mean minus delta A mean and A mean plus delta A mean. Okay, the value of the reading will lie between A mean minus delta A mean and A mean plus delta A mean. Means this is the range in which the value lies. Okay. This implies that any measurement of a physical quantity A is likely to be lie between A mean plus delta A mean and A mean minus delta A mean. So this is the range of a observation. This is the range of observation. Okay. If your observation of anybody's, or if you have done the experiment, you have say 10 observations you have carried out, okay, this process you have carried out and you found the answer of a particular quantity in this manner, and if the other person is taking the reading and bringing the answer, and if his answer is between these two values, then he is correct or his observation is within the range. Okay. Now instead of absolute error, we often use the relative error or the percentage error. Now how to find the percentage error? Percentage error is denoted by this kind of delta A. This is delta A. Okay, delta A. Okay, what you are doing? Delta A is equal to, first of all, what did you find? You found this delta A mean. Okay, two calculations we understood, delta A mean, and first we found A mean. Delta A mean divided by A mean will give you the percentage error if you multiply it by 100. Okay, so the formula goes like this: relative error. Okay, relative error is delta A mean upon A mean. Okay, and if you multiply it by 100, then you will get the percentage error. Just you go through this theory and then we shall calculate the sums related to it tomorrow. Okay, thank you.